The Washington Capitals are once again one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Perhaps a little bit surprisingly, given the questions that so many had about this team heading into the season. But are they a true Stanley Cup contender? Coming up, I'll talk about three things that I think make the Washington Capitals a contender and one big question I still have about the team. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, so I'm going to be modifying my contender or pretender series a little bit, and instead we're going to be going through teams and talking about three reasons why I think they are a contender, and then one big question I still have about the team. And we're going to go today with the Washington Capitals, who are off to a very, very good start this season and playing very well despite having a lot of players missing time. And some big players missing time for them this year. So let's get into it here, taking a look at what the Caps have done so far. They are second place in the Metropolitan Division right now. 31 games played, a record of 18, 6, and 7 on the year, 43 points, and a plus 27 goal differential. So obviously, this first third or so of the year has been very good for the Washington Capitals. And they were a team that a lot of people had questions about heading into the year. So far, they have answered all of those questions and are off to a great start. So, three reasons why I think the Capitals are a true Stanley Cup contender. Let's get into it. Number one, they are a great all-around team. This is not an offensive team or a defensive team. This is a great all-around hockey team. They do both things well, offense and defense. They're scoring 3.42 goals for per game this year, which is fifth in the NHL. They also are only giving up 2.58 goals against this year, which is sixth best in the NHL. So they are a top team offensively and a top team defensively. That allows Washington to win any kind of game that you want to play. You know, they don't have to go out there and score 4 goals or 5 goals because they're giving up so many. They don't have to keep it down to a 2-1 game because those are the only kinds of games they can score enough to win. They're good at everything. So if you want to play 5-4 run and gun hockey, the Capitals can do that. If you want to tighten it up and lock it down defensively and keep it a 2-1 or a 3-2 type game, the Capitals can win that as well. And their ability to be really good offensively and defensively this year, I think really does make them a contender and is a real positive sign heading into the playoffs because they can play anybody. Whatever style you want to play, they can get it done. Another thing I really like is their even strength dominance this season. Capitals special teams actually hasn't been all that great this year, but at even strength, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, their overall just even strength dominance this season has been very, very impressive. They have outscored opponents 79-58 at even strength this season. And their goal percentage at even strength is 74.5. So almost 3/4 of their goals this season have come at even strength. Their power play actually has kind of been down this year. And I think a lot of that is Nicholas Backstrom missing pretty much the entire year. TJ Oshie missing significant time so far. They've been missing some key pieces off of that power play, and their power play numbers haven't actually been that good, but their even strength numbers are absolutely fantastic. And that is huge come playoff time because as we talked about in the Rangers video, when you're in the playoffs, there just aren't as many penalties called. The whistles kind of go away a little bit. You don't get as many power play chances in the postseason normally as you do in the regular season. So if you're a team that is dependent on the power play to score, that generally doesn't bode well for postseason action. The Capitals are the complete opposite of that. They score better 5-on-5 than they do on the power play, and their overall even strength dominance is going to really help them in the playoffs if they can win that 5-on-5 battle night in and night out in the postseason. So that is another really good sign here for the Capitals to be a true contender this year. And the third thing to put them in a contenders category, in my opinion, is that their top players are playing at an elite level this year. Now, that's minus Nicholas Backstrom and honestly minus TJ Oshie, who's missed a lot of time. Both of those guys have been out of the lineup. Backstrom almost the entire year so far. Oshie's kind of been in and out, playing here and there, but those guys have missed a significant time with injury. Their other top players are playing at like top players, and Alexander Ovechkin is leading the way with an MVP caliber season. 47 points so far for Alex Ovechkin. Honestly, it's unbelievable what he's doing at 36 years old. He is playing like it's a decade ago, and he's in the middle of his prime. I mean, 47 points already this year, 20-plus goals, just absolutely outstanding season for Alexander Ovechkin, and he is right now in the MVP conversation in the NHL. Evgeny Kuznetsov is also having a huge year, really bouncing back after a couple of down seasons the last couple years. He's getting back to that 2018 Evgeny Kuznetsov that was such a pivotal piece of the cup-winning team. He's playing like his old self again. He's got 30 points already this season, also playing pretty well defensively. And the Capitals have really needed Kuznetsov because Backstrom has missed so much time. Kuznetsov has had to step up and be that top center, and he's done that this year. And also, John Carlson on the back end continues to be one of the best top pair defenseman in the entire NHL. He's a great offensive defenseman, even now into his 30s. He's got 26 points this season for the Capitals, and he's actually having a pretty solid year defensively as well, which has kind of been the knock on him recently, is that his defensive play has suffered. He's doing it at both ends of the ice this season, playing like a true number one franchise defenseman. And that's been huge for the Capitals because, again, these top players that they've needed to be top players are all playing at an elite level this season. And that has been a big reason why the Capitals have had the success that they've had. Now, despite all of these positives about Washington, there still is especially one big question that I have with this team as far as them being a true Stanley Cup contender, and that is the goaltending. Do they have the goaltending to win a Stanley Cup? Ilya Samsonov and Vitek Vanacek are their tandem in goal, and honestly, they don't really have a true number one starter because they've both played right around the same number of games. So, it's a 1A, 1B type situation. These guys have both played right around 15 games, and they've both put up pretty good numbers, but not great numbers. If we look at Ilya Samsonov first, awesome record for Samsonov, 11-2-2 on the year. But his goals against average is 2.64 and his save percentage is 9.10. Now, those are solid numbers. They're good, but they're not great. Neither of these guys are getting Vezina Trophy consideration. Like, they're good goalies, but they're not elite goalies. Vitek Vanacek, not as good of a record, 6-4-5, but a better goals against average at 2.51 and exactly the same save percentage at 9.10. So both of their goalies have a 9.10 save percentage, which again is fine. It's good, but it's not great. It doesn't put them up there, in the top 10 of the league or anything like that. Goals against around 2.5 goals a game. Again, that's fine. And they're winning. Obviously, they're winning games. The Capitals wouldn't be second in the division if they weren't. But I just wonder about a 7-game playoff series with an Andrei Vasilevsky on the other side. Or, another like high-end top goaltender like that. If they happen to play the Rangers possibly in the first round and Igor Shesterkin is at the top of his game at the other end. Or, if they play Pittsburgh in the way that Tristan Jarry's played this year, Freddie Anderson in Carolina. Thinking about playoff matchups for the Capitals, and if it really, comes down to goaltending, do I trust Ilya Samsonov or Vitek Vanacek to outduel Freddie Anderson or outduel Igor Shesterkin or, someone like that, Andrei Vasilevsky, if they happen to get that far in the playoffs? Like, is that a goaltending battle that the Capitals are going to be able to win? That's really my one big question with this team, because everywhere else, they're solid. Their forward group is very good. They have an extremely talented top six, especially when they're all healthy. Um, they've got a hardworking, grinding bottom six that can really chip in offensively when needed and plays a heavy playoff style of game. They've been much better on the back end than I thought they were going to be this year. Their overall decor play has been very, very good. Like, the only real question I have with the Capitals is that goaltending. Is Samsonov and Vanacek a tandem that is going to hold up in the postseason? That when they get into those tough 7-game series against high-level opponents, night in and night out, whether it's against the Hurricanes or the Penguins or the Lightning or whoever they happen to play in the playoffs, is this goaltending tandem going to hold up? That is my one question with this team. Because, again, their numbers are good, but they're not great. They don't have an elite goaltender. And a lot of times in the postseason, it does come down to goaltending. So that's really the only thing with this team that has me worried about, come playoff time, about whether or not they can legitimately compete for a Stanley Cup and make it that far. But all in all, the Capitals are in very good shape right now. Obviously, they've had a fantastic season. There's a lot of good things about Washington. Really impressed with their ability to be this good of a team and win, despite having key pieces out of the lineup as much as they have. It's not just Backstrom and Oshie, but Anthony Mantha got injured really early on in the year. That's another big piece gone. So, they've had a lot of man games missed this season for key players. Eller mistimed earlier in the year as well. So, and they've been able to just keep on rolling. Like, it hasn't really hurt them. It hasn't held them back. They're still one of the best teams in the East, and that's a great sign for Washington. I certainly think that they are a team that's capable of winning and putting a playoff run together, but we're going to have to wait and see on the goaltending. That's the one thing with this team. When we get into the nitty-gritty of a playoff series against a very tough opponent who's just as good as you are, can that goaltending hold up? That's my one big question. But that's what I've got on the Washington Capitals. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description if you'd like to further support the channel. The links to our merchandise store, membership, and donation links are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys soon.